Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the weekend preview and welcome to the buys, the much dreaded buys. Everyone talks about them, forecasts how they're going to, best navigate through this terrible period where over 3 weeks, 6 teams have the buy. It's not all doom and gloom. I'll discuss midway through the video a few of the tactics and ways we can avert danger and navigate our way best through the buy period. But first off, we'll have a look at the SuperCoach relevant ins and outs, and of course naturally there's not too much because only the 6 games this week. But out is Nick Nat, who was well documented. I'll discuss what to do with him and the ruck situation as well. And Luke Dalhouse, a lot were predicting it could have been an extremely long-term injury, looks to only be 4 or 5, so he could be a really nice final pickup for your forward line at about round 19 or 20 potentially. So, and coming in is Sam Mitchell, Marcus Adams, George Hewitt. Bear in mind though, he may give you some coverage, but his price will drop big time. And Anthony McDonald tipping Woody returns, which is sure to help out many, along with Adams, who probably held on to both of those guys. But let's discuss these buys. Now, it's not all doom and gloom because there is a way that you can really assert yourself over these 3-week period if you can, play your cards right, so to speak. Now, looking at it, it seems relatively even. I know in the past we've had 1 week where it's just carnage. If you can field 18, good luck to you. Just by the nature of, how the teams are, what have been popular selections for the SuperCoach over the course of the year. But this time, it rolls round and there doesn't seem to be, of course some sides will have individuality throughout their sides and some weeks will really hurt, but from a broad SuperCoach point of view, of all the popular selections, average teams, most people have these guys, it seems relatively even. Now, what is the concept of the buys? Yes, it's difficult, 6 teams are out, but we only have to field 18 scorers. So your top 18 scorers are the only ones that matter. Now, a lot of people will go, oh cool, I've got 18 playing, I'm all good. That's great, and I know personally that's all I'll probably be aiming for this week because I've had a couple of injuries, a couple of guys on extended benches and things. But if you can get 20 playing, even 21, which would be a good effort, this buy period is really a way that you can extremely move up the rankings if you play your cards right. How so? Well, you're only needing to get 18 scorers. So if you have 21 guys scoring and all of a sudden, I don't know, Ben Keys only scores 50, Sam Collins has scored 66, not too flash, and then, you've had George Hewitt or something as well, who's come out and scored 45. Now, normally that would really hurt your side, and certainly would if you had those guys in your starting 18. But if they're your 3 lowest scorers, they don't count. So all of a sudden, your next best guy is Petrarca, who scored 81. He's your 18th worst score in amongst the likes of Kerridge and Daniel Rich and a bunch of other premiums. And all of a sudden, you've got 18 guys with the lowest being 80 odd points, which that's really where you can make your move because all of a sudden it cancels out your bottom end and you get all the top end. So first focus point is of course get 18 guys playing. But if you're lucky enough to have extra or the option to get extra, then certainly do it because it gives you a double chance, so to speak. If we're watching the game tonight, Hawthorn North Melbourne, and I don't know, Grant Birchall or Sam Mitchell, comes back, but he's a bit sore. He only scores 70 points. Well, you can look at that and go, oh, gee, that's a bugger. But if he comes into my lowest 2 or 3 scorers, I don't have to worry about that. Secondly, the way we can trade through the buys can be quite creative and really beneficial. Sam Kerridge is a good option and a good, case study of this. He has to buy this week. He's still scoring well. It was only 2 weeks ago he scored that 120 or whatever it was, 81 last week. That's good. But to be honest, my message for him is trade him. He's got the buy. He's at 427,000. He's probably peaked. Yes, he's probably going to be one of our best scorers that isn't a premium. So naturally you go, oh, shouldn't he be the last guy I trade out, of my side? Possibly, but I think, if he's got the bye now, if you can trade him out and then you miss a guy's bye, if you know what I mean. Because if we don't trade throughout the whole 3 weeks of the bye, you've got 30 players playing, all 30 are going to miss over the course of 3 weeks. So that's worst case scenario, and that's natural. Of course we're not going to trade for 3 weeks. But, so you've got 30 guys who are all going to miss at some point. If you trade Kerridge out this week, all of a sudden that number becomes 29, because you miss a bye there. Now, of course, the guy you trade in, he's going to have his bye as well. So the first bye isn't necessarily where we can really get an advantage of that. But I do feel that Kerridge is probably peaked and he has a bye now. So I use him as an appropriate trade out time. But the second and third byes, that's where you can probably get a little more creative. So who has the bye this week? Let's have a look. Gary Ablett has the bye. Martin Deledio, of course. So, look, you might be travelling nicely next week. You've had a decent score. Just looking ahead to next week's buys, Marcus Adams has the bye. He served us well. But you downgrade Adams, miss his bye, and you upgrade, let's see, for argument's sake, Jaden Hunt. Melbourne have the round 14 bye. You downgrade Adams to some random bloke who ideally had their bye this week. Upgrade Jaden Hunt to Deledio, and all of a sudden you've missed 2 byes. Do you know what I mean there? So you've got that number of 30 players missing a bye week becomes 28. Now, that's marginal differences, but it can be hugely important. So if we can keep that in mind, just the fact that if you can minimise the damage over the course of these buys by 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 players if you can afford to trade well, certainly do it. But again, try to not overcomplicate it. My overriding message is if a trade is right at the time, it's the right price to do it, the right time to do it, but the guy has a buy in a week or two, still do it, If it's going to hinder your team to not do it, but he's going to cop a buy, still run with the most appropriate and necessary trade. I think just have an eye towards how you can navigate through the buys well enough, because as I say, if we combine trading guys out before they have the buy with guys who have had the buy, then you miss their buy period, so your 30 player squad throughout 3 weeks, only 27 of them will cop a buy while in your side. I hope that comes through and makes sense. And if we combine that with the fact that we can bulk up more than the 18 players on any given week, then all of a sudden you can have a double crack at certain guys, Now, Ben Keys has a stinker, George Hewitt, Sam Collins isn't travelling too well, Josh Smith, not the flashiest score. Doesn't matter, they don't count, because you can afford to have 2 poor scores, which historically and in the past we have seen. There's always sides that navigate them well and sides that seem to accept a bad week here and there. Don't accept it just because it's the buys. I'm going to have a 0 here and there, because the good sides shouldn't and the good sides won't. I think, as I've stressed, don't trade in mind with the buys. Trade as a big picture, as I've said, through in the lead up. And I think if you've made good trades, you should have 28, 29 guys playing anyway. And I think with some of those methods that I've just mentioned, you should be able to navigate through without a drama. So all the best for the bye period. I hope you track through all right. As I say, I've probably got 18 or 19 guys playing. And the reason being, one of the big reasons, of course, Nick Nat will be out. So if anything, I'm probably fortunate that it fell on that and many others, because if it had fallen in any other week, I definitely would have had a 0, because, I would have been torn about, do I trade in Goldstein, whose break-even's around 160 odd? Do I cop a 0? But because of the buys, I've got the option to have 12 zeros in theory. So, of course, 4 on-field zeros, but, potential to bench quite a lot of guys. Now, what do you do with Nick Nat? I hear everyone say, just trade in Todd Goldstein, no dramas. Well, I'll get to that in a sec. Of course, Max Gawn is the one you trade in first thing. He's the in-form ruckman, the All-Australian ruckman, fresh off a dominant game. He's still relatively priced. He's at 586 there, so that's not bad at all. Now Nick Nat 521, his scores of 89 and 71. Yeah, they dropped his price a little bit, but if you don't have Gawn, get him. And Goldstein, the reason my query on him is his buy is still coming up, which, put it this way, Nick Nat, Gawn, Goldstein, 95% people listening, 2 of those guys will be their ruckman. 2 of that 3 combo will definitely be in their rucks. Now, Nick Nat is out now, Gawn has the bye next week, Goldie the week after. So, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. As I've just talked about avoiding buys and, trying to minimise which players cop a buy, all of a sudden you're looking at the option of definitely missing 1 ruckman and having 1 playing 0 definitely on the field for all 3 weeks. Now, that's where it gets iffy. You might have Mason Cox, I'm not too sure. If so, good luck to you, but even so, he may be, he's got to buy this week, and also he might be in line to be dropped. That's a genuine concern. So, my advice, if you can't field 18 playing scorers, then I would trade Nick Nat for Todd Goldstein, bite the bullet, and cross your fingers. Now, the rumour is he's sore, bit of a knee problem. Is he sore and naturally going to be a huge beneficiary of the bye? Or is he carrying a niggling injury, as Nick Nat did, and will inevitably have to miss a couple of weeks? That's the question bang in my mind. I mean, the answer is sort of twofold. I think if you have 18 scorers, then I would hold off. Cop the Nick Nat 0. Let Goldstein drop back to the pack, and who knows, he could come out and score 160. We know what he can do, but if he scores 110, he will drop a fair bit. 120, 130, he will still drop, and any money we can get is also always hugely important. And then we can at least gauge how he's going. The more weeks go by and things like that, the more the coaches say, the more it's like, is Goldie back to his best? Is he feeling good? Will he be after that bye fresh as a daisy? So I think if we can hold off long enough, A, he's going to drop in price, and B, the clarity around how sore/injured Goldstein is should become much clearer, and it should allow us to make a better decision. So if you already got Goldstein, which a lot will, I think your decision's quite easy. You're just getting Gawn. A couple other things I should just finally touch on. I'll probably talk more about the buys than anything. Guys you can look to get in, downgrade style. The likes of Trengove is not bad. Jared Jansen scored well in the first week, but 34 last week, not too great. Cade Stewart from the Hawks scored 90 and 70. Job security naturally comes about for him because he's in the Hawthorn side. Luke Hodge to return, but he's looked pretty good so far. And at 102k in the midfield, he's hard to look away from, especially with the likes of Kerridge, Josh Smith, Ben Keys, potentially all peaking. George Hewitt's another one if you still have him. That's all food for thought. Tom Phillips scored a 64 for Collingwood, but of course he's got the bye. Sam Reid for the Giants, mature age, didn't score too great, but could find himself a role. Definitely has kept his spot. In that forward line, I'll just have a quick look. But otherwise, I think your focus should definitely be fairly and squarely on how you can avoid the buys, and don't be afraid to use 3 trades if you need to, because it's not about the trade number. It's about where your team is at relative to how many trades you have. After this week, I'll probably have 9 trades left. Am I hitting the panic button? Not really, no, because I feel my side is a trade or 2 away from completion. So I think most sides should be aiming, if you've had a bit of luck, to have 22 premiums on the field. Now, granted, I look at my back line, and Birchall and Rich probably aren't premiums, but we're working on that. They'll probably have to be offloaded, which may alter that trade tally. But if we look at it, generally speaking, if you can have your team finalised full of premiums with 6 to 7 trades left, you're doing that very nicely. That, in theory, gives you 6 to 7 long-term injury replacement trades. So that's basically what we're about, and I think if you can manage that, then your side's looking pretty fine. I think I covered off fairly well on the midfield group, and from memory I looked through the forward line, there's not too much on offer. No, it doesn't really look like it, but you know, the bubble boys and stuff are well documented. I've covered off on a couple there. I think don't be afraid to use 3 trades if they're all right. If the price is right, then do it. If you don't have Dangerfield, get him in now. Of course, I am one of those guys, hence why I'll be using the 3 trades. Joel Selwood's at a nice price. I think Gary Abbott's at a nice price. I think Brett Deleteo's at a nice price. He's got the buy. Montagna, after his buy, is at a nice price. So a couple of guys to consider. In the back line, I think it's becoming very clear who our best players. We all know that. Simpson, Shaw, Doherty. Rance, I think, is at a nice price as well. But that's just about sums it up. The captain choice, I could talk about it, but hey, I think Dangerfield scored alright last week, so I think that's pretty obvious. But that about wraps it up. I hope you get through the buys nice and easy. This could prove the toughest week of all 3, just with a few injuries and perhaps more rookie price players playing than we would have liked. I know my forward line has heavily copped it with the likes of Lids, Martin, Montagna, Kerridge and Aaron Hall, and I think there'll be a few people in that boat as well. Luke Dullhouse, of course, went out too. Probably if you're looking for a trade for him, someone like Zorko or any of the guys I just mentioned. Probably could think about Lance Franklin, who's looking pretty cheap, but should bounce back. Now, that's enough for me. Shorty will carry on with the day. I'll get this posted, and all the best for the weekend. Hopefully it treats us nice and well. I'll be back on Monday for the SuperCoach press conference, and I'll chat to you guys soon.